Right now, at this very moment, invisible particles from exploding stars are raining down on the Giza Plateau. They pass through the sky, through the clouds, through the limestone, through chambers no human being has entered in 4,500 years. And what those particles are revealing is rewriting everything we thought we knew about the most studied structures on Earth. A void the size of a commercial airplane floating above the Grand Gallery. A corridor sealed since before the invention of the alphabet, with a door at its end that no one has opened. Air pockets hiding behind polished granite that hint at entrances no archaeologist has ever found. And underneath it all, claims of structures so massive they stretch 2 kilometers into the earth. The pyramids are not giving up their secrets willingly. But for the first time in history, we have the technology to take them anyway.
Welcome back. I spent weeks going down this rabbit hole, and I have to be honest with you, the deeper I went, the more unsettling it got. Because we are not talking about fringe theories here. We are talking about peer-reviewed papers in nature. Robots with cameras the width of a pencil tip crawling through gaps in 4,500-year-old stone. Cosmic ray detectors built by particle physicists from 3 different countries, all confirming the same impossible thing. There are spaces inside the Great Pyramid that nobody knew existed. And in 2026, one of the most famous archaeologists alive has promised to open a sealed door and show the world what is behind it. So today, I am going to walk you through every single discovery, in order, from the one that started it all to the one that might change everything. And I promise you, the last one is going to keep you up tonight.
It started in 2015 with a question that sounds almost childish. What if we could see through stone? A team of physicists, archaeologists, and engineers from Cairo University and the French Heritage Innovation Preservation Institute launched a project called ScanPyramids with a radical idea. Instead of drilling, digging, or hammering, they would use particles that fall from space. Muons, subatomic particles born when cosmic rays from dying stars collide with Earth's atmosphere. 10,000 of them hit every square meter of the planet every single minute. They pass through air with almost no resistance, but stone slows them down, absorbs them, deflects them. So if you place a detector inside a pyramid and count how many muons arrive from each direction, you get a density map. More muons from a certain angle means less stone in the way. Less stone means a void, an empty space, a room that nobody has walked into for millennia. The principle is elegant. The execution took years. 3 independent teams, 3 different technologies. Nuclear emulsion films from Nagoya University in Japan. Scintillator hodoscopes from the KEK Research Center. Gas detectors from France's Atomic Energy Commission. All installed at different angles inside the Queen's Chamber and outside the pyramid's north face. Months of silent data collection while the universe did the scanning.
Think about that for a second. We used particles from exploding stars, traveling at nearly the speed of light, to X-ray a 4,500-year-old monument from the inside. And what they found was not a crack, not a construction gap, not a minor cavity. What they found was enormous.
On November 2nd, 2017, the results were published in Nature, one of the most prestigious scientific journals on Earth. Above the Grand Gallery, the massive ascending corridor that leads to the King's Chamber, the muon detectors revealed a previously unknown void, at least 30 meters long. A cross-section similar to the Grand Gallery itself, which is 8 meters high and nearly 2 meters wide. It was the first major internal structure discovered inside the Great Pyramid since the 19th century. The team named it the ScanPyramids Big Void. 30 meters, the length of a blue whale. Hovering silently inside 2,300,000 blocks of limestone, and nobody had known it was there for 4,500 years. 3 different teams using 3 different technologies in 3 independent analyses all confirmed the same thing. This was not a ghost image, not a reflection of the Grand Gallery below, not a statistical anomaly. It was real. It was massive. And it had no obvious entrance, no connecting tunnel, no passageway leading to it or away from it. A sealed, isolated, inaccessible space the size of a passenger jet, floating in the heart of the most famous building ever constructed.
That is what kept me up the first night I researched this. Not that they found a void, but that it has no door, no way in and no way out. Why would the builders of the most precisely engineered structure in the ancient world put a room inside their masterpiece that nobody could ever enter? And of course, the theories did not take long to arrive.
The internet exploded. A hidden treasure chamber of Khufu, some said, sealed to protect the pharaoh's real burial from grave robbers. Others called it the legendary Hall of Records, a repository of lost knowledge from a pre-flood civilization. Some pointed to the Coptic legends of King Surid, who supposedly built the pyramids to preserve all human knowledge before a prophesied deluge. The void became a canvas onto which every alternative theory was projected. Alien construction blueprints, an energy resonance chamber, the Ark of the Covenant. The speculation was intoxicating because for once there was something genuinely unknown inside a structure we thought we had figured out. Mainstream archaeologists pushed back firmly. Kate Spence of Cambridge and Mark Lenner, one of the world's foremost pyramid scholars, argued that the void was almost certainly structural. Ancient Egyptian builders routinely incorporated gaps, relieving chambers and construction voids to distribute the immense weight of the stone above. The 5 relieving chambers stacked above the king's chamber are proof of this exact technique. The big void, they suggested, was likely another stress relief feature, perhaps even evidence of the internal ramp theory of construction.
And here is where it gets fascinating, because the scientific explanation is actually more mind-blowing than the conspiracy theories. Think about it. If this void is a construction feature, it means the engineers who built Khufu's pyramid 4,500 years ago understood structural stress distribution well enough to design internal pressure relief systems inside a 146-meter-tall monument. With no computers, no steel, no cranes, just mathematics, observation, and a level of patience that our civilization cannot even comprehend. We build skyscrapers that need maintenance after 50 years. They built a weight distribution system that has held for 45 centuries without a single repair. But the big void was just the beginning. Because while physicists were still debating its purpose, their detectors picked up something else.
On the north face of the Great Pyramid, above the main entrance, sits a series of massive V-shaped limestone blocks called chevrons. These chevrons have puzzled archaeologists for decades. They are enormous. They are precisely placed. And they seem to protect something. In 2016, thermal imaging detected anomalies behind them. The ScanPyramids team repositioned their muon emulsion plates inside the descending corridor, aiming them directly at the chevron zone. The data came back with a clear signal. There was a void behind the chevrons, a corridor-shaped structure. The team spent years refining the measurements, collecting data from multiple angles, cross-referencing with ground-penetrating radar and ultrasonic testing. By 2023, they were certain. 9 meters long, 2 meters wide, 2 meters high. a perfectly proportioned corridor sealed for 4,500 years, sitting just 7 meters above the main entrance. It was not a natural cavity. It was not a construction gap. It was deliberate, intentional, built with purpose.
9 meters. That is roughly the length of a school bus, sitting right above the front door of the pyramid, and nobody knew it was there until cosmic ray detectors found it. But the moment that gave me chills was what happened next.
To confirm the corridor's existence without drilling a single hole, the team did something extraordinary. They identified a tiny joint between 2 blocks of stone on the north face, a gap barely 6 millimeters wide, the width of a pencil lead. Through that gap, they threaded an endoscopic camera, a fiber optic eye the size of a grain of rice, and pushed it gently into the darkness. What the camera captured were the first images of that space seen by human eyes in over 4 millennia. Rough-hewn limestone walls, a gabled ceiling, a corridor stretching back into shadow, vanishing beyond the camera's reach. On March 2nd, 2023, the discovery was officially unveiled at the foot of the pyramid itself. Zahi Hawass, Egypt's most famous archaeologist, stood before the world and declared that this was a significant find. The corridor was real, and it was likely built either to relieve structural weight above the main entrance or to protect something deeper inside the pyramid that has not yet been found.
That last part is what matters. To protect something deeper inside the pyramid that has not yet been found. Because here is the thing. Chevrons in Egyptian architecture are not decorative. They are functional. They are weight distributors. The same chevron design appears above the king's chamber, where it protects the burial room from being crushed by the millions of tons of stone above it. So the question that every Egyptologist is now asking is this: why would the builders use such massive protective chevrons over a 9-meter corridor unless that corridor leads somewhere important? And that is exactly what Zahi Hawass believes. He told reporters he thinks there is something significant beneath the corridor, possibly even the real burial chamber of Khufu. But we had to wait until now.
In November of 2025, at the 44th Sharjah International Book Fair, Zahi Hawass made an announcement that sent shockwaves through the archaeological world. He described a 30-meter-long passageway detected using advanced scanning technologies inside Khufu's pyramid. A corridor that leads to a sealed door. A door that has not been opened in 4,500 years. Robots have already reached it. They have cleaned the openings. They have confirmed its location using thermal imaging, 3-dimensional mapping, and muon radiography. The exact location has been pinpointed, but the contents remain secret. Hawass called it a great archaeological discovery that will write a new chapter in the history of the Pharaohs. He said, the door will be opened, and the world will see what is behind it. In 2026, this year.
Let that sink in. The most scrutinized ancient structure on Earth, studied for centuries, explored by everyone from Caliph al-Ma'mun in the 9th century to Napoleon's scholars, and right now, there is a sealed door inside it that nobody has ever opened, and we are months away from seeing what is behind it. That alone would be enough for one video. But the pyramids were not done revealing their secrets, because while all of this was happening inside Khufu's pyramid, the smallest pyramid on the plateau was hiding something of its own.
The Pyramid of Menkaure stands just over 60 meters tall, the smallest of the 3 Great Pyramids of Giza, built around 2500 BC for the pharaoh Menkaure during the 4th dynasty. It has one known entrance on its northern face, framed by polished granite blocks. But for decades, something on the eastern side has bothered researchers. A section of granite blocks, roughly 4 meters high and 6 meters wide, polished to the same smooth finish as the stones around the northern entrance. Nowhere else on the pyramid do the stones look like this. In 2019, researcher Stijn van den Hoven proposed a bold hypothesis. The polished eastern section might mark a second entrance, hidden in plain sight for 4.5 millennia. Nobody had proof, until now.
And this is where I love how science works. Instead of guessing, instead of speculating, the ScanPyramids team went back in with their instruments. And what they found behind that polished granite is exactly the kind of thing that makes you rethink everything you assumed about these structures.
In 2025, researchers from Cairo University and the Technical University of Munich published their findings in the journal NDT and E International. Using 3 separate non-destructive techniques working in concert, they scanned the eastern facade of the Menkaure Pyramid. Electrical resistivity tomography sent electrical currents through the stone, mapping changes in material density. Ground-penetrating radar fired radio waves into the limestone and measured reflections. Ultrasonic testing used sound waves to probe the structure from yet another angle. The 3 datasets were fused together using advanced image processing. And behind the polished granite blocks, approximately 1⅓ meters beneath the surface, they detected 2 distinct air-filled voids. The first measures roughly 1.5 meters wide and 1 meter high. The second is smaller, about 0.9 meters by 0.7 meters. Numerical simulations confirmed these anomalies could not be explained by natural cracks, irregular stonework, or construction gaps. These are deliberate, air-filled cavities, hidden behind a section of the pyramid that mirrors the design of the only known entrance.
To put this in perspective, the polished stones on the east side look exactly like the polished stones around the known entrance on the north side. Same finish, same technique, same level of care. And now we know there are voids behind them. The hypothesis of a second entrance is, in the words of Professor Christian Grosse from the Technical University of Munich, very plausible. And that raises a question that keeps me up at night. If Menkaure has a hidden entrance, what is it an entrance to? Because, unlike Khufu's pyramid, Menkaure's internal layout is relatively simple. A hidden second entrance suggests there are chambers or corridors that nobody has mapped. An entire layer of the pyramid we have never seen. But even this was not the most controversial discovery to hit the Giza Plateau in recent years. Not even close.
In March of 2025, a team of Italian and Scottish researchers led by Corrado Malanga of the University of Pisa and Filippo Biondi of the University of Strathclyde made a claim so extraordinary that it divided the entire archaeological world. Using a technique called synthetic aperture radar Doppler tomography, they analyzed satellite data from Capella space, covering the Giza Plateau. Their method works by detecting micro-vibrations in structures caused by natural seismic background noise, then processing those vibrations through radar signals bounced from orbiting satellites. In their initial 2022 paper, published in the peer-reviewed journal Remote Sensing, they applied the technique to the Great Pyramid and claimed to identify previously unknown internal ramp structures. Then they turned to the Khafre Pyramid and the area beneath it. What they claimed to find was staggering. 5 identical structures near the base of the Khafre Pyramid, connected by geometric pathways, each containing multiple horizontal levels. 8 cylindrical vertical shafts, surrounded by descending spiral pathways, plunging 648 meters beneath the surface. And at the very bottom, 2 enormous square chambers, each measuring approximately 80 meters on each side, stretching beneath the entire Giza Plateau. Now, I have to be completely honest with you here,
because this is where the story gets complicated. These claims are extraordinary, and extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Let me walk you through both sides, and you can decide for yourself.
The reaction from mainstream Egyptology was swift and fierce. Zahi Hawass publicly denied the claims, calling them baseless and lacking any scientific evidence. He pointed out that the Khafra pyramid sits on bedrock that has been extensively studied, and that no permits had been granted for any research inside it. He described the claims as an attempt to undermine ancient Egyptian civilization. Other experts raised serious methodological concerns. The idea that satellite-based radar could image structures more than 600 meters underground through solid limestone is, according to many geophysicists, far beyond the proven capabilities of the technology. Ground-penetrating radar, in ideal conditions, typically penetrates only a few meters into stone. The researchers countered that their technique is fundamentally different from traditional ground-penetrating radar. They argued that by analyzing Doppler shifts in the micro-vibrations of the pyramid itself, they could effectively turn the entire structure into a resonating imaging device. They pointed to their 2022 peer-reviewed paper as validation of the method, and noted that 4 independent satellite companies have since confirmed anomalous signals in the same locations. No excavation has been conducted to verify the claims. No independent team has replicated the full analysis. The Egyptian government has not commented officially.
Here is what I take away from this. Could there be structures under the Giza Plateau? Absolutely. We already know there are tunnels, tombs, and quarry systems beneath the surface. In 2024, ground-penetrating radar detected an L-shaped anomaly and a deeper void under unmarked tombs in the Western Cemetery near the pyramids. So the ground beneath Giza is not empty. But the specific claims of a 2-kilometer-deep underground city with spiral staircases and 80-meter-cube chambers remain unverified. The science is either groundbreaking or deeply flawed, and right now, nobody can prove which. What I can tell you is that the debate itself reveals something remarkable. We are in an era where satellites orbiting Earth, cosmic ray detectors, and robots the width of a pencil can probe the interior of monuments that were sealed before human beings invented writing. And every time we look, we find something new.
Step back for a moment and consider what we know for certain. The Great Pyramid of Khufu contains a void at least 30 meters long, possibly closer to 40, with no known entrance. It contains a 9-meter corridor sealed for 4.5 millennia behind protective chevrons, with a door at its end that will be opened this year. The Pyramid of Menkaure has 2 hidden air-filled cavities behind a suspiciously polished facade that strongly suggest a second, undiscovered entrance. And underneath the plateau itself, anomalous readings from multiple technologies hint at structures we have not even begun to understand. Every discovery has come from technology that did not exist 20 years ago. Muon tomography, endoscopic microcameras, satellite radar interferometry, image fusion algorithms combining data from ultrasound, radar, and electrical resistivity. We spent centuries staring at these pyramids from the outside. We mapped every stone on the surface. We measured every angle. We debated every theory. And all along, the real secrets were locked inside, behind limestone too thick for hammers and too precious for drills.
You know what really gets me? We call these monuments tombs. That is the textbook answer. The pyramids are tombs for the pharaohs, but no original royal burial has ever been found inside any pyramid at Giza. The sarcophagus in the king's chamber was empty when it was first accessed. And now we are finding hidden corridors, sealed doors, massive voids with no entrances, and potential hidden passageways. Maybe they were tombs. Maybe they were something more. Maybe they served a purpose that our categories cannot capture. And maybe, just maybe, the answer is behind that sealed door.
4,500 years ago, tens of thousands of workers hauled 2,300,000 blocks of limestone and granite across the desert. They raised a structure 146 meters into the sky, with a margin of error on its base that is less than the width of a human hand across 230 meters. They aligned it to true north with a precision of 3/60ths of a degree. They built internal chambers, corridors, relieving vaults, and ventilation shafts using nothing but copper tools, wooden sledges, and a civilization's worth of collective knowledge. And then, apparently, they sealed rooms inside it that they never intended anyone to enter. Rooms we are only now finding because we learned to use the same cosmic particles that have been raining through the pyramid since the day it was finished. The universe has been scanning the pyramids for us this entire time. We just were not listening.
And maybe that is the most humbling part of all of this. We built particle accelerators and space telescopes and supercomputers, and the tool that finally cracked the pyramid open was something that has existed since the beginning of the universe. Muons, cosmic leftovers from dying stars. The ancient builders did not need to understand particle physics to build something that would outlast every civilization that came after them. But we needed particle physics to even begin to understand what they built. The pyramids are not relics of a dead past. They are active mysteries. They are structures that are still teaching us things, still surprising us, still making us feel small. And this year, when that sealed door opens and the cameras roll and the world holds its breath, I think we are going to learn that we never really knew the pyramids at all. We only thought we did. Stay with me, because there is always more to come.